Hey everybody, and welcome to the Distinctive Agent Show. Today I have Josh Kalinowski, and we're going to talk about teams. To team or not to team?
Ooh, I like the topic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Distinctive Agent Show. So, JK, I affectionately call him. Give him a big round of applause. Welcome, welcome. Today, the big question, to team or not to team? That is the question. I've gotten a lot of questions recently about team structures. I've gotten a lot of questions, should I? Who am I going to hire? Are these teams that say they're successful, are they really successful? So there's so many questions out there. And Josh is an interesting one. I'm going to let him share his story as it pertains to teams. But boy, this guy's been through a number of teams, both professionally and I wouldn't call it a hobby.
True.
Right. But sometimes being a team leader does end up at the end of the year feeling like a hobby.
Especially when you look at your 1099.
There you go. So hopefully we're gonna avoid some landmines here, and we're going to come up with a plan of action so that if you desire to have a team, you're going to have the playbook. So, right. Josh,
let's do it, brother.
So what do you think, buddy? Like, should I start a team?
Oh man, my first question to you would be why? Like, why do you want to start a team? I just want to know the basis of it, right? Is it because you're overwhelmed and you can't manage and take care of your clients as it is? Is it because you want to have more time to maybe be with your family or other activities that are important in your life? What is the purpose of why you want to create a team? If I know the why of why you want to create a team, then I can give some direction, and then I can give an explanation of what are maybe some of the pitfalls that you need to be looking at. Because I think that just like you and I've talked about in the past, is people want to create a team for more than likely the wrong reason, right? Well, basically, I don't want to sell anymore, but I want to make a lot of money, and I want more time, and I want to be on the beach, and I want everybody else to do my work for me, and I want them to take all the responsibility, and I just kind of want to show up at the office, and then I'll give them my credit card so they can buy the leads online. And then they're going to do all the open houses and all the other stuff. And I'm just going to be there to high five them and tell them what a great job.
There's a bunch of team leaders right now that are laughing on the floor right now, or maybe crying on the floor. It's hard.
Yeah.
It is really hard. I love that you said that. So let's dig in just a little bit before we bounce to the next topic on that. Where do you see some major, give me one specific area where you're like, oh yeah, that person, he did it wrong.
Right. I would say that they did it wrong if their purpose for creating a team wasn't because they truly wanted to help and pour into other people to be successful. If that was not the mainstay, because you will lose so much momentum and steam, because you're gonna truly understand the lack of loyalty and some of the loyalty that you're going to receive, but mostly the lack of loyalty that you're going to receive people. And so if the whole thing that you're doing is so that you're just creating a world out of, let's do this, out of scarcity, not abundance. If you're doing it because like, oh man, I just got to keep hoarding, I got to get more leads, and I got to, and it's all about scarcity. That's a massive issue that you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's also probably not, if ego is playing any role whatsoever.
Yeah.
A big red flag, right? Only you can answer that as a person that's interested in a team.
Yeah.
If you're looking to do less work, you think that you're going to create more freedom and more space in your life to vacation. That's probably not it, right? Because you're adding, you can get some more consistency maybe,
right?
But it's certainly not going to be less work.
Yeah, and exactly right. And I think that you have to, once again, if you don't know why, if you don't have like the purpose of why you're creating that team, you're going to lose focus on it very, very fast. And you're going to start doing things that are more reactionary as opposed to thought out. And I've seen it happen so many times where, I mean, even agents within our company, and that's why we have these conversations with them, is like, okay, so why do you need this? Like, why do you need a team? Well, I just want to sell more properties. Okay, well, I get that, but like, there's way better ways to do it, more efficient ways to do it, financially and freedom-wise to do that. Like, just by growing a team is not going to solve the issues that you're facing. And so if you don't know the issues that you're trying to solve, creating a team is just going to create more issues for you, by the way. right? I mean,
100%.
honestly, if you're not leading, once again, like as a successful agent, if you are not leading yourself, right? So continuing education, if you're not taking control of your schedule, if you're not having a good follow-up plan, how are you going to teach that to agents that are not successful? Because that's what you're recruiting, is either the agents that have not done it before or they're not successful. And now you're having to train them into doing things that maybe that you're not most successful at either.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. So we've identified, if you will, or described the don't do it person. Mm-hmm. Let's sort of package what the person that really should move forward with building a team looks like.
Yeah. Well, once again, if you have the mindset that you want to pour into other people and you see an area of the industry that you say, you know what, I think I can make an impact here. I think I can make a difference. When I created my first team, I was the broker of a company, I had a business partner at the time. And I knew that in order for me to impact more people's lives, that I had to start with my personal team first. I had to I didn't know how to recruit agents to the company because I had never done that before. And I most certainly wasn't a great trainer at that time. I was still learning that process, but I was willing to put in the work to start training. So I started small. Building a team was like my first step to say, I want to make some movement forward. Mm-hmm. And I know that I can impact at least one life right now. So that one life was an assistant, right? And that one assistant was helping me take control back in my day and my weekends to a certain point, but I was still doing a lot of work because I was having to train them into.
Oh, yeah. No, like I said, it doesn't get less, right?
Well, and I think one of the hard things as somebody that's wanting to build a team is that one of the things that's made you successful is you're a control freak. And your attention to detail, so to speak, right? Your attention to detail in the sense of how you take care of your customers, how do you take care of your clients, right? And giving that to somebody else is absolutely terrifying. And that's where I think a lot of team builders, like that's where they struggle with that at the beginning. I have those conversations time and time again, like, I don't trust them. Yeah. Well, how are you going to grow? Right.
100%. Right. And so as I think about the teams that I've worked with over the years that have become successful, some of the things that they have in common, a desire for impact. Mm-hmm. Love that. It's bigger than themselves is their purpose. Yeah. They pour into themselves. They are committed to growing themselves. Again, love using the Maxwell quote, right? You can't give what you don't got. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you got to make sure that you're pouring into it. These people, by and large, have created sort of an organization, as systems or processes within their individual organization, right? So it's a one person, they're the boss of one person, and yet they've said, hey, there's going to be the Todd Conklin way. Yeah. And this is the way we're going to do it. And I would write it down, and all those things are in place, right? Yeah. They're also the people that have leveraged. This is a big one for me. When I see an agent who's like, hey, I'm going to go out, I'm going to get an assistant because I want them to do transaction coordination. And you're like, well, but doesn't your company offer that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I'm going to keep it all in-house. And then they're going to do all the marketing. And I'm like, but doesn't your company do that? Yeah. And they're like, oh, no, but I do it all myself. What happens is they hire that person. They have to train them. Yeah. What happens to their personal production when they're worried about training somebody?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it always goes down.
Oh, yeah, it's horrible, absolutely. Right? And then, of course, that person quits and goes and takes a better job. And then so you've got to really work at what it is that I have to be in order for me to be able to add somebody else. Yeah,
exactly. Well, once again, I think if you identify like what are the reasons for growing a team, or what are the results that you want, like what do you want to do? If it's the fact that, well, I really do want to go from selling 50 homes to 100 homes, what are the resources that are already around you that you can be leveraging? I think it's absolutely amazing that you said that, because it's so true. We forget some of the things that are so closest to it because it's not our idea, or I think I can do it in a better way. And it's like, no, why don't you look at the things that are already in place and then tweak them if you need to, but like you're going to do that at a fraction of the cost. Because here's the one thing I do know is that when you grow a team, your profit margins go down.
Oh my goodness.
You do not, I know, because I had this mindset and oh man, I'm going to be like, I'm taking out the middleman and I'm going to make 95% more of the money. And it's like, no, at the end of the day, because then you also have to continue to retain that talent. So those are constantly changing all the time. Or if you have to get new talent, or if you're having to provide more leads, or if you're having to provide more products, like all of those things go into the expense and the overhead of a team. And you literally start to see your profits go down. Like I was making more money selling 50 properties than I did when I was selling 100, even though I was actually putting in twice the amount, 3 times the amount of work to do that.
Amen. That's the truth, y'all. That's the truth. All right. So who's my first hire?
You need an admin if you're going to do it.
Straight
an assistant.
Up. Yeah. No buyer's agent, no listing.
No.
No marketing person.
No.
It's an admin.
Yeah.
The admin's going to do what?
Admin's going to take care of your schedule. Admin's going to take care of your appointments. Admin's going to take care of the little things that you don't have the time and nor do you want to spend the time doing. That's actually probably more than likely spiraling your life out of control.
Yeah. So a couple of things I'll throw on that. If you are a high D or an artist or whatever you subscribe to, don't hire someone who you want to go have beers with, right? Hire somebody who's going to make you a better person.
Yeah.
Hire somebody that's going to help you deliver on all of the things that you want desperately to deliver. Hire for
the position, not the person.
There you go.
Because I think one of the mistakes a lot of people make is say, "Oh, I've got a friend. I got a friend that would be perfect for this." And I will tell you that 9 out of 10 times it doesn't work. Hire for the position, and you never have to worry about the person.
There you go. Amen. Love that. All right. So when we think about, let's throw some duties, right?
Okay.
The admin. Well, let's do this. How do we manage that? Because we know that they're going to do the admin, and that's going to cover a lot of stuff, and we probably don't need to dig too much into that. But I'm an individual agent. Mm-hmm. I haven't had to manage somebody before, and so now all of a sudden I'm going to bring on an admin. How do I do it?
So you're just talking about an admin, not the team itself. How do you manage that?
Well, let's start with the admin. I think it's probably answers the bigger question as well.
Well, I think one of the things that is so important, and once again, I never learned this until going through all this, right? And then building myself to have an understanding.
Might be the reason I asked you to be on this podcast.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
And so it was daily meetings. I mean, that was the first thing. It's like I needed to know what they were doing and how they were doing it and when they were doing it. And then so we'd have our checklist. We'd go over what we had that plan that week or that day, and then it would be a breakdown. And then she would give me updates. I think one of the most helpful things that to me gave me security that she was portraying the type of service that I wanted to make sure that she was, is that I was CC'd on every text and every email. So not only did I have my own stuff that I was making sure of, but then I also was following up on her. And so you have to, I love this phrase, is you have to inspect what you expect. And I know that when I first started, I didn't. I just said, well, you're hired for the position, just go do it.
When you say that, because it's a zig, you got to say it. You've got to inspect what you expect. Yeah.
I don't know if I could do that.
I think you can do it really well. I absolutely believe it. Yeah. So other things, right? There's an accountability on both sides.
Yeah.
We've got to man up, quote unquote, and we've got to be a leader.
Yeah.
So we go back to pouring into ourselves and making sure that we show up the way we want to show up for them, the way we want them to show up for us and for our clients.
Yeah.
We've got to track and measure everything. It's our responsibility as the leader, right?
Track and measure. Oh,
yeah. Right.
This gives me chills just thinking about that.
I know, but it's a big one.
It
right?
is. It is. Exactly.
If you're going to build a team, that's what you got to do, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
How many teams have you come across where they're like, oh yeah, I'm just crushing it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you dig in a little bit to the numbers and you're like, have you not looked at your P&Ls? Yeah. Like, do you know that you are your buyer's agent is making more money than you are?
Yeah. And I would say that more than half of the teams out there are that way. They just don't understand. Like their team has gotten out of control. So all they're doing is signing checks and putting out fires.
That's it.
I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Okay. So let's move on to mindset for a second. I think this is a big switch that has to take place going from I'm an individual agent, I make my own schedule, I do what I want, when I don't want, how I want, to now I've got a team. Maybe I just have an admin. Maybe I've got an admin and a couple of buyer's agents. Like, where's my mind now?
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you what, when you do create that team, your mindset completely has to change from who is your client now, right? Your client now is actually your team, your client now. So you are constantly making sure that they're doing okay. You're constantly making sure that they're following up their leads. You're constantly making sure like they're representing your brand the way that it needs to be represented. And so it is a full-time gig. It's interesting how, when you're selling real estate, you're in and out of the office all the time. And I realized as soon as I started to grow my team, was in the office all the time.
Yeah.
I was having meetings with them. We were helping them with strategies. We were putting out fires that maybe they created because they're young and they just didn't understand. Clients that were happy, clients that were mad, dealing with the other agents, not a part of it. So then you're following up and like, okay, so tell me the background of the story. Like, help me out. So you're just constantly putting in these situations that you never were in before because that's not how you were going to do business, but you're just training them constantly on how to handle it and how to really make sure that they're providing really great service.
Yeah.
So scheduling is massive.
Massive. I was just going to say discipline. The word that's coming to my mind is discipline.
Yeah.
Like you can't be the leader of a team. I don't care if it's 1 or 21 people without having the discipline to teach the people.
Yeah.
And to lead those people and to track and measure those people and to produce, like that's next on my list, right? Is whether or not they're in production. Like the reality is they are now responsible for everybody else on their team and their families.
And you're still the rainmaker, just so you know. You haven't stopped rainmaking. You are actually a bigger rainmaker because now you have the pressure to make sure that buyer's agent or that listing coordinator has listings or has buyers. So it puts another level of extreme accountability on your part. And once again, you got to be authentic too, and you have to have integrity through this. Integrity meaning that if you're asking them to do an hour of power every day, who better be the first one doing that? It better be you, because if you're not leading by example, you've lost integrity with them and they will not be around.
That's right. You got to show up the way you want them to show up for you, right?
Yeah.
No, I love that, which brings us right into the one. This is always an interesting one, right? So coached a lot of teams. Everybody, for whatever reason, at some point in their mind, even if we've talked about it at the very beginning, believes that they're going to get out of production, that they are quite literally going to sit on the beach and drink pina coladas and it's all going to roll in and everything's going to be just wonderful. Yeah. And the first step to that is, all right, I'm going to ease out of production and my agents are going to be doing all of the prospecting and my marketing team is going to be doing all of the lead generation.
Yeah.
Do I need to stay in production as a team leader or can I go just be an operator?
Honestly, that is a really hard question for people to try to answer in this sense, because I believe you have to grow your team large enough that it's really a brokerage. Honestly, that's what it is. If you're able to get out of production, it's called a brokerage. It's not a team. It's a team masked as a brokerage. Just so you know, that is a big challenge. That was something as an evolution that I've done and I did. But what I ended up doing though, is I had to dismantle my team because I realized that the only way that I was going to impact more people's lives is if I took the mentality of what I was doing with that team to the brokerage level. And one of the beautiful things that I see with what we do in our companies is that when we see people like that, they become managing directors. We say, you know what? Absolutely. Don't go reinvent the wheel. Come partner with us and let's go and change lives, right? And so I love that when you have a brokerage that is constantly looking at your growth, you're always going to have room to grow. You're always going to have an opportunity for the next level of success for you. And it doesn't have to be, and I've never been a fan of going and reinventing the wheel. I never wanted to have that. I wanted to always be a part of a team. I always wanted to be a part of somebody that was doing something bigger than me. That's why I love sports. And I think, unfortunately, so many people think that they have to reinvent the wheel in order for them to see or feel or experience the success that they truly desire, when it's already in your face, more than likely. It's already that person right there that you can say, you know what? I'm ready for the next level. What does that look like? Can you help me get there? And when you can do that, I think, once again, that's when you really start to see tremendous success. When you do stop selling, though, this is what I had a great conversation with James, our managing director, is that he saw calling in his life to do that. He had a calling in his life to be a manager, right? And one of the hardest things that I told him is that, you're going to pour into these other people. You're going to help them be tremendously successful. And they're going to financially be way more successful than you will ever be. Unfortunately, that's one of the trade-offs that you put into it. Now, eventually, eventually, the payoff is down the line and you have that vision for it. But I'm just going to let you know that if money is a driver for you, you better don't sign up for the job.
Yeah.
Don't sign up for the job. Don't try to create a team, because if you're doing it for the money, and then you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. And so when we take that down to then the individual real estate agent team, right? The reality is this, stay in production. You have to continue to make rain. One of the values that you bring, part of your value proposition for any team leader, is that, hey, listen, I'm gonna bring people on to my organization that are not blessed with the talent to make rain. Mm-hmm. And I'm also going to give them the teaching and the coaching and the motivation to do a better job. And you're going to have an impact on their entire life.
Yeah.
You have to continue to make rain, because number one, you are the rainmaker.
Yeah. And
then number two, I think in order to be a great leader, you've got to know what everybody is doing. And we talk about this all the time in our coaching business, right? Mm-hmm. Like, don't go out and say, gosh, I want to do $1 billion in sales, and go find the guy that did 100 million.
Right.
Like, that doesn't work. You got to go hire the guy that did $1 billion in sales.
Yeah.
So he can tell you, oh, do this, don't do that. Oh, watch out for this. Big pieces, right? It's funny to me. So I go on appointments all the time. Last week, I went on 12 different appointments, sales appointments. I went on a listing appointment of an $8 million listing last month. Like, I'm out there, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And yet I do kind of have a team, but
yeah. No, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, if anything, if you go back to how our that one phone call that really changed the direction for myself and for what our friendship was like, it was because I was being coached by somebody that could not relate or could not give me value from their experiences, because they never had been there and they didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely apparent, and I needed somebody that would help me get through that.
So I know we got to wrap this thing up, but I do want one last question.
Okay.
3 top reasons why most teams fail.
You start off with the wrong why and the wrong purpose. The leader does not pour into themselves, and the leader is not willing to sacrifice for the betterment of others.
Okay. Let's see. The leader does not leverage the tools and systems that are available to them.
Mm-hmm.
They want to try to recreate the wheel. The leader tries to get out of production, isn't hyper focused on the one and only thing, like keep the main thing, and that is making rain. And number 2, doesn't have the proper mindset and discipline around being a leader. So thank you so much, Josh. I really appreciate it. Folks, I hope that was some value on whether or not you should be a team. And if you are a team, what you need to be doing to make sure that you stay relevant and you stay successful. Until next time, be distinctive.